Welcome to the Four Brewers podcast. My name is John Holzer, and as always, I'm joined by
Jason Harris
and Tim Mather.
And you guys, I wasn't originally going to record today. I was going to take the day off because I've had a pretty shitty weekend. One, I'm still on the non-alcoholic beer train, which isn't all bad. This is my third week, and it's gotten a hell of a lot easier to not think about having a beer. We had pizza last night, which is like perfect beer food. And honestly, the beers that I have on the show, I got one of them 2 days ago in the mail, paired perfectly with the pizza. So that's not a big deal. But I think on Thursday, I noticed this weird thing in this eyeball where when I blink, you know how when someone takes a photo of you and the flash lingers in your eye? I don't know if you're familiar with that. Like if you blink your eyes, you see the flash still. It's kind of what I see in my eye. And there's a little bit of discoloration in the center of my vision. And now I'm freaking out that I have macular deterioration, which is a pretty serious thing.
Wow, yeah, that is.
If the macular basically, without getting too much into the anatomy of an eyeball, like your DSLR camera, the sensor, that's where the light is focused onto. Your macular is the sensor in the back of your eyeball, and the optic nerve is what talks to your brain from the macula. So I went to an optometrist yesterday, got new glasses, which are being made right now by Ray-Ban. I'm getting the thicker framed Wayfarers. I'm going full on geek glasses.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. These are Wayfarers too. I'm getting the regular stock.
The original
Wayfarers.
Yeah, those are good.
Yeah. So
you should just go with a full Rivers Cuomo.
That's basically what it is.
Look.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah, it's those glasses.
Sweet.
So I went to I mean, when you get new glasses, you have to see the optometrist, which is not an ophthalmologist. An ophthalmologist is a doctor of the eyeball. An optometrist is more of a vision.
My significant other works in an ophthalmology department, so I'm well aware of the differences.
Oh, okay, cool. So they took pictures of my eye, and the doctor was like, "Nothing looks weird to me. I don't know what you're seeing, why you're seeing that." There was one little part where she's like, "Maybe there's something there." So now I have to go to an ophthalmologist, and they basically have to do an MRI kind of thing of my eyeball where they look at the layers. I'm still kind of freaked out about it.
Point being, I bet it'll be something where you just got to do some drops for a little while or some shit.
I don't know. I really have all the symptoms of that. It's I don't mean to bring the show down because I had a point to all this, but if I look at something white, it's a little grayish looking and a little bit blurry. If I look at something colorful, like say I'm looking at a white person on TV, their skin looks a little warmer in that little spot. If I'm looking at something in the dark, it looks a little gray. It's very bizarre. And I thought it would go away after a while. Hopefully it will, but we'll see. Anyway, my point is I'm not having a good weekend. That's why I was going to take the day off. But Jason, you're going to be in San Diego next week doing your beer tour thing.
Yeah,
right?
just being out in the fucking world for once.
So
we're at a valley, a COVID valley, right
exactly.
Now. So before it starts ramping up again,
I just saw. I get notifications from Apple News on my Apple Watch, and they're talking about how China's going into a new lockdown, some city in China, because coronavirus is spiking, and I'm like, here we go.
Yeah, a lot of Europe is spiking again too, but everyone just doesn't care. But
yeah, now's the time to take advantage while numbers are low and you can somewhat safely get out
Yeah,
and be normal.
right.
We spent yesterday afternoon at Disneyland, and after walking in the gate, put our masks on and basically wore them the whole day.
Honestly, I like kind of like having the mask on, just period. Like, I'm like, I don't know, don't look at my fucking face. Like, I have fun designs and shit. Like, I'm into it. Fuck it, I don't care. I haven't
Yeah,
had a
I'm
cold in 2
still.
years.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's my thing too. Like I haven't been sick at all, and I kind of like wearing the mask. Not that it makes me feel secure or comfortable, but it's just like turns out covering your face is a good idea, not only from spreading germs to other people, but also from not getting sick from other people that are maybe sick. And I'm down for it.
I will say one of the downsides is if you're going out and you want to like if you have, as in my case, a pretty unkempt beard, you get what's called the mask beard, where it basically pushes it back behind.
You got to
your
get one of those
jaw.
beard masks,
And
dude.
it looks. Oh, I saw somebody with one of those at the airport. Not only did it look like the most hipster bullshit I've ever seen, but it did not make any sort of seal. There's like, I know if you have
Yeah.
facial hair, you're not going to make an official seal, yada yada yada. But like,
it's good for basically stopping the spread of major droplets. And that's pretty much it. Yeah. I saw a dude at a hotel where I work at, and he had a really long beard mask because his beard. It was just like, that looks so dumb.
Yeah, no, this dude at an airport like had the long, like way longer than my beard, but one of those ones is like straight down and like well shaped, and it was almost like he had like I describe it as like a shovel, like a spade shovel, you know, that shape.
Exactly.
And it just came down and like it was like a tablecloth for his beard. It was very entertaining.
I see why they exist, but it's I don't know. It's almost like basically shave to a point where the mask
that's
fine.
Once I reach the point where I feel like I look dumb enough, then it's like, okay, time to clean that up. But Jason, where are you going? Do you have plans on like specific places to stop by?
No, we got an Airbnb in North Park, and we're just gonna kind of wing it and go do stuff and be out in the world. Yeah, no, we're just gonna spend the weekend down there, and then I have a week off, and we're going up to the Central Coast to visit Sarah's family too. So it should be fun.
Cool. So your guys' job today is to put me in a good mood.
Oh, shoot.
All right, man.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I know, right? Especially for me, because I'm always in a bad mood. But like I said, I'm still on the NA train, the non-alcoholic beer train. And I got to say, I went to La Bodega this morning. Right after I said I was going to not be on the show, I thought, well, since I'm going to delay the show by an hour, I'm going to seek out some more NA beer. We are living in a golden age of non-alcoholic beer. I got to be honest.
I have some. Sorry.
I'm going to spoil everything right now that I'm drinking. First of all, this new beer just came out from Athletic Brewing, and this is Athletic Light with a little blown out. Sorry about that. But this is their light lager, and it's only 25 calories per can. Like, it's damn near water. It's amazing. Sam Adams has, I think Jason brought this up on the last show.
Yeah, they're hazy IPA.
Just a haze, which this one I think is fairly fresh. Best Buy is June 2022, so that seems like it's fresh-y.
That's cool. Territory. I didn't realize that existed.
Fucking Macular making a non-alcoholic.
Oh yeah, I've had that one. Like, what's a bikini something?
It's a wheat ale. It's called Drinking the Sun.
I think I had that at some point.
Yeah, this is 0.3% alcohol. I think this is from Macular out of Europe too. It doesn't look like
they have.
It feels like Europe has been a bit ahead of the curve on NA beer for a long time, and like now the American craft scene is finally being like, hey, maybe there's an opportunity here in NA.
A while back, I did a segment on that sort of subject. I don't know that there's necessarily a huge movement of NA, but there's definitely like a huge movement on like 3 and less. Like a lot of breweries, there's a lot of rules, and so like there's like a big movement of places that do like a 3% or a 2%, and and I think Macular is one of them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm here for it. And then finally, this was brought up by Kai in the chat, at Kai, Kai, in our general Discord chat. Guinness makes NA beer.
No.
And I mean, I don't see
What?
how this can be bad because Guinness is already pretty low in alcohol. It's like a 4% beer as it is. So they don't really have much to remove. I mean,
That just blew my mind.
Well, yeah, and I
And-
think a lot of the flavor component of Guinness too is pretty easy to keep while reducing the alcohol.
the alcohol plays a very minor role in Guinness as it is. So
Yeah,
Right.
that's why I'm saying it can't be bad in this. Even the Guinness is 60 calories per can and 13 carbs, which is like
Yeah.
double of most of the the lighter
Hell-
NA beers. But it's a
Also,
Guinness.
like only 20 calories less than regular Guinness.
Mhm.
That's funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
the to your point, John, like I had somebody that I was like I don't know, I just say Twitter acquaintances with many like several years ago who I hadn't seen much from in recent days actually just like hit me up, and he was talking about Athletic and asking me he's asking me like some untapped stats. Obviously I don't have that sort of information anymore, but he was kind of unaware of my switching out of that. And so he was like, oh, hey, I'd love to know, like, what's it like? Are they taking over? And so it's just real interesting. Like, to your point, not only are we seeing breweries that are switching it up, but we're also seeing, like, I'm just seeing random people in an anecdotal fashion, like, hitting me up and like, hey, have you heard about this? And so
Yeah.
it's, I mean, and sure, this is a show for beer nerds, and I'm sure there are those out there who are like, what are you doing? But I mean, it's an interesting change in the market. It really is focusing on like current trends and desires of a lot of people who either A, kind of burnt out, or B, are starting off not really wanting to. So it's interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, if there's beer nerds out there that are going to complain about this not being real beer because it's non-alcoholic, it's real beer. Like they make the beer alcoholic, then they remove the alcohol. You know what I mean?
You can't be drunk
And
all the time.
I speak for a lot of
Not
older.
all the time. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and I speak for older beer geeks. I mean, I think of like Dr. Bill Sisak too. I think even he would be like down to experiment in NA beers because he owns a brewery now at Wild Barrel, and he gets on trends. Like he opened Wild Barrel to be like a barrel aged sour brewery, and the first thing they did was release a bunch of hazies, and they got 50 different hazy beers that are all the same.
you
And
gotta fund the weird ass beer somehow.
Yeah, and I don't think I don't think he's doing it just for a money grab. I'm sure that's a big motivator, but it's also, it's a different style of beer, and he's not one to shun beer trends necessarily. He embraces that, that's his whole thing. He's a beer geek. And so I think someone like him, and I know over the years he's taken breaks from beer due to health issues and stuff like that. I don't see why he wouldn't want to make an NA beer or a very, very low alcohol beer because it's something that he can drink and enjoy and not have to worry about the alcohol. So any beer except
I
bitching about
imagine
this, they can go to hell.
I imagine it's a bit of a challenge just because it's not a blazed trail, really. It's a little bit like hazy IPA. How long did it take before breweries actually fucking figured out how to make them? For
Yeah.
like the first like 5 years of New England hazy IPA, everyone was just like, I don't fucking know, put a Hefeweizen yeast in it. Like
Right.
people had no fucking idea how to make them. And I imagine NA is even worse because I remember we kind of looked into doing some shows with like Hop Water and some other NA people, and they're just like trade secret. We don't talk about how we make it.
Yeah, it's how Athletic is too.
Yeah.
So speaking of haze, my first beer that I opened is the Sam Adams Just the Haze.
I'm really intrigued by this.
And I mean, I kind of am hijacking the show with my NA beers, but just to kind of wrap this up and talk about this beer, I got to say, that's what it looks like. It looks like a great hazy IPA. Maybe it looks a little more opaque on camera than it does in real life, but this
it comes
beer
through pretty. It looks very like kind of golden. It's kind of nice. It doesn't look murky.
Yeah, it's not murky. This looks like a mainstream big brewery hazy. This is fantastic. Like comparing it to even the Athletic, I went back and I think last time on the show I had the NA beers. I had the Athletic IPA, and I bought another 6-pack, and that 6-pack I bought after that show was way more fruit forward. Like you could tell the hops were coming through more on the flavor. It was less of that weird kind of wordy kind of flavor, it was way better. And this blows that out of the water. This doesn't have any of those weird NA aftertastes or smells. This smells like an actual hazy IPA that Sam Adams or like Firestone Walker would put out.
It, like, to me, I had that one before, and my memory of it is it tastes just like a regular Sam Adams hazy IPA, which is to say, not the best hazy IPA in the world because it's Sam Adams and they're not that good at IPA, but good. Like, you know, it's still a good beer. It's as good as a normal Sam Adams hazy IPA.
Yeah, I mean, and objectively speaking, I've never had Sam Adams hazy, and
I swear we had Rebel on the show or something.
Did we?
Remember Rebel
Okay.
IPA?
Well, I mean, overall, this just comes off like a good hazy, and maybe this is me talking after 3 weeks of not drinking.
Nah, it's pretty good
beer, but I gotta say, like, if you gave this to me and didn't tell me there wasn't alcohol in it, I wouldn't know. Like this is perfect. This is great. So, again, the Sam Adams Just the Haze in a hazy IPA. I highly recommend this. If you see this, you should try it out because this is fantastic. And like I said, this is the highest caloric content so far. This is 98 calories, 22 carbs, which is pretty damn high for carbs. And they don't say the alcohol, but I'm assuming it's under 0.5. So
this has actual alcohol in it. It's 5.2. I'm rocking a Casa Agria Czech Pilsner with a very cool, like, classic style label. It's very like,
it looks like Pilsner Urquell, right?
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Like reminiscent in the color scheme, but not, you know, like it's not like they're directly parodying it, but it's definitely meant to be like evocative of that branding. With like the dark green and the gold and the like kind of off-white and red, very cool looking can. Really cool looking cans is my theme this week. I just picked out cans that I thought looked rad.
You're speaking my language here, Jason.
And this beer, a little bit of chill haze on it. It looks like it's like on the verge of being clear, but then actually like you can't quite see through it. It's got a little bit more cloudiness than I would expect from a Czech Pils, but
it doesn't say anything on there on Untapped about it being unfiltered or anything, but looking at the other photos, yeah, they kind of, well, no, I should say there's one where there's a photo like on a bench, like a table outside, and it looks a little cloudy, but then there's another that's served in a proper glass and it's clear as a bell almost. So yeah, maybe it is chill haze.
Go ahead.
So not as bitter as I would expect from a Czech. Like Czech Pils generally has a little bit of a hot bite on it. Thankfully, it doesn't have, you know, the like diacetyl character that is kind of technically correct, but just bad things that people have Stockholm syndromed. Really solid beer. Not as bold as I would expect a Czech Pilsner to be. It's a little bit more in the line of like a typical Euro Pils, but I kind of, when I think Pilsner, I think Czech is like kind of your aggressive variant of Pilsner, and this doesn't taste that aggressive to me.
Tim, what do you got, man?
But I'll drink a liter of it.
So I was going through, and I've been on a train for a singular brewery lately. I know I've mentioned Southern Grist enough times, and as I was going through trying to find things for the show, I kind of pulled some stuff from my last shipment there. So I apologize for repeat themes. And honestly, this first beer that I opened, I've done before, but I realized that it's also a mixed series. They switch it up. So this is a new batch. And unfortunately, the printing of the hops used in it did not come through very well. So I don't know which batch it is, but this is mixed greens. I had this, I don't know, a month or two ago, a different batch. I want to say maybe it says something with an E, something with an S and a U.
I'm imagining now that we're gonna have like, you know, like there's been a sugar craze in beer, right, for years, but so people are gonna be like, we need to have a health craze. So instead of throwing Lucky Charms into your fucking wort, into your mash, you're just gonna throw like literal mixed greens, like you throw in some arugula,
some kale.
So yeah, like
some iceberg lettuce.
Just we can mix it up. It's healthier alternative to pastry stout.
The top parts of carrots,
I mean, being green. The mixed greens obviously referring to the fact they do different hop combinations. This is New England IPA 6.2. It does say like see the bottom of the series, and I can't figure it out. But either way, it is just as you would expect for a nice little golden, can't see through hazy IPA.
Yeah, it looks very similar to my Sam Adams Just the Haze.
It smells like
I think
really
Tim's
nice
looks
hops.
A good bit lighter in color than the Sam Adams beer showed up on camera. At least,
my lighting.
Tim's is very Hoegaarden, which is common for hazy IPA, but just very much like think Hoegaarden. That's what that glass looks like to me.
Okay, I would
like a Belgian wit kind of color and texture.
This batch, it has a really like mild tropically hop 4 flavor, and then it instantly shifts over to more of a bitter sensation than I expect from a lot of hazies, which is actually kind of a nice change. So I enjoy that.
Tropically, hopically.
Yeah, exactly. I do have a comment, Jason. You mentioned something. You mentioned chill haze, and that reminded me of something that I read recently. There was some brewery that I follow that recently put out what they called a cold IPA. And I think
I've got one of those. Let's talk about cold IPAs later. I've got one on deck.
Oh, okay, cool. Then I'll wait because I know the whole like mix behind that. So I just wanted to. I'll wait and we can go into that when you pull it out.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. Just to wrap things up on the Just the Haze. Again, I cannot express how good this is. This might be one of the best hazy IPAs they call it an IPA. Hazy IPAs I've ever had, from a big brewery.
That's saying a lot.
And like I brought this up before, I'm not a fan of buying hazies. Like Mind Haze from Firestone Walker is basically as hardcore as I go because I'm just kind of burned out on them because they come off a little heavy to me. Even the lighter alcohol ones and the ones that are properly made, I don't know. This is great, and for being basically non-alcoholic, I highly recommend this. This is fantastic.
I wonder if they have it in their tap room. We're actually going to Boston in a couple weeks.
I don't see why not. I mean, it seems like it's a nationally distributed beer, so they've got to be making a bunch of it. So,
and I think
it makes me wonder too if they're making this what else are they experimenting with? Like, I would like to see like Boston Lager without alcohol. I like Boston Lager. I think it's a decent beer. That'd be interesting to try too.
They're experimenting with things like eating spoonfuls of brewer's yeast so you don't get drunk.
Jason will never let that go.
Man, when you come out with some dumbass shit like that, you deserve to get fucking heckled about it forever.
That was stupid. I agree.
I eat spoonfuls of yeast so I don't get drunk. Do you know what I'm talking about, Tim?
I don't, but
Tim had a blank look like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Yeah, Jim Cook, not Greg. Greg's the stone one. Said in an interview that he's like when he goes to a beer festival, he eats a spoonful of like brewer's yeast or something, right? Or it's like some sort of yeast, but he eats yeast and he's like, because I eat this yeast before I drink, I don't get drunk. And it's like the most dorky fucking old man wives' tale shit, and it's funny as hell.
If it works for him, it works for him.
I think he's probably just walking around shit-faced. In fact, I've heard a lot of stories about him walking around absolutely shit-faced at festivals and stuff.
He says here in an ABC News article that he mixes a spoonful of yeast in yogurt so he can stay sober all night long. And he says, quote, 1 teaspoon per beer right before you start drinking. So it's 1 teaspoon per beer. That's a lot of yeast. And he says
he's got a whole bakery in his stomach.
Dude, he's absolutely shit-faced. And
he's shit sourdough.
Farting and just farting the whole room clear. Like, you guys, I'm not even drunk.
He said he learned the trick from a friend with a PhD in biochemistry who says that the enzymes called alcohol dehydrogenase, ADH, whatever, in the yeast will break down the alcohol before it enters the bloodstream, keeping the drinker free from any embarrassing drunken missteps. Quote, and it will mitigate, not eliminate, but mitigate the effects of alcohol. And
well, if a PhD said it's legit, then I don't know.
Well, it says, but experts say there's a lot that can go wrong with this plan. So, yeah.
Did they leave it at that? That it, like, such as?
No, there's more. Okay, it says, quote, it's a double-edged sword. If it is actually working like people presume, and you're breaking down more of the alcohol, some of the toxic byproducts of that enzyme could mean hangovers could be worse. There are a lot of questions that remain. My summary point is it's not time to rush out and buy stock in yeast. But if you were going to do a study, there would be no shortage of participants. Ha, 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 ha.
Yeah, I was like, I remember there was a Mythbusters where they tested beer before liquor. Like they tested the whole like a bunch of drinking myths. And I was like, I want the Mythbusters, half of whom are dead, to fucking test that.
What is it? Liquor before beer, have no fear. Beer before liquor.
I feel like
quicker,
I've heard
or something.
Contradictory rhymes that just say whatever people prefer to do. That'd be like what it's like. I prefer to drink in this order, and I got a rhyme to support that.
Liquor before beer. That's why I'm here.
It's like beer before liquor all day. That's my way. Like, I don't know.
No.
If you have a rhyme for it, then it's obviously legit. Like that's the way you make it, right?
It's so you can memorize it and never forget.
Yep. So then you can spout off your mantra faster to everyone.
Yeah. I think the whole yeast before drinking is just a mental, like it's like yeast, I know
yeast
this is
before
working.
Drinking, I won't be sinking.
Yeast before drinking, your farts be stinking.
There you go.
I'm glad we solved that. It's legit now.
Jim Cook is a farty motherfucker. Jason, what do you got?
Let's talk about cold IPAs, my friends. This is one of my favorite labels I've seen in years. This beer is called Cool as Ice. It's a cold IPA. It is a collaboration between two breweries I've never had before. One is Party Beer Co. and the other is Hop
they're cool.
Secret.
Party is in LA, right?
Yeah, they're off of West Adams. They have a cool spot. We've been there a couple of times. It's it's fairly small, but it's pretty rad. It's definitely like an Instagram-y sort of setup.
So their label is, for people not watching, which is most, it is the VHS cover of the Vanilla Ice classic Cool as Ice, the movie that came out in the early 90s. But instead of Vanilla Ice, it's a cat.
Yeah, I was going to say that's got some real mad like 90s vibes to it, but I don't know. I don't know that specific movie.
Across the top of the can, it says, "Word to your mother." But it is very 90s. And so let's talk cold IPAs, guys.
Yeah, cold IPA is a weird style. Basically, it's IPA with lager yeast.
So my take on it is that IPL didn't take off, and this is just the byproduct of what IPL was trying to be.
Almost. I'm looking at an article on the News School. Excuse me. They try to break it down. So IPA with lager yeast. Recipes in this fashion employ a clean American IPA recipe and sub the yeast from Chico, which is an ale yeast, to lager yeast, usually 3470. Ferment cold and see what happens. The dry hopping doesn't work the same. The lager esters and uptick in SO2. What's SO2? Sodium oxide. I don't know. Really does not work without American hops. This sticks out like a sore thumb. Blah blah blah. Dry hopped lager. This takes a normal style Pilsner recipe and changes the hopping from a classic approach to what we see with American IPAs these days. All the kettle hops in the whirlpool. Large dry hop with newer IPA hops. Newer IPA hop varieties. So again, it's a very weird distinction, but basically they're both hoppy lagers, I guess.
I found a blog that claims that it was coined or invented, either invented or named by Wayfinder. They did a collab with Great Notion, and that was the first cold IPA. And this particular blog also takes on, this is just an IPL, what's the fucking difference? Spectre SR in our chat says is not equal to IPL. So
okay, that's good to know.
It says that they're using adjuncts to lighten the body. So rice and or corn, for example, and then they generally are going to have a higher alcohol, like more like a typical IPA, where I think IPLs maybe tended to be lower. I don't know if I remember that being accurate, but
okay.
So it's a little bit reminiscent too of the Brute thing. Because the
Brute is like enzymes added to make it like less than 0 on gravity, super dry, and like they overcarbonate it to make it more like champagne. Like that's a few different distinctions, right? This again, and not to call out Spectre SR in the chat, but I'd really like to hear that person's definition and explain it to me how they're not equal to IPL. Like I can see subtleties making it not different, but it still seems like in my head it's the same thing. And in this article from the New School, they do talk to the dude from Wayfinder about it. And I'm not going to get into it, but there is an explanation in there. But it's just like, okay.
Another thing is that they use Pilsner malt a lot of the time, which is actually fairly unusual in IPA. So it's almost like
an IPL.
It's almost like you're taking, like, the malt bill sounds like an American light lager, but scaled up. And then you're taking basically like an American style light lager, scaling the alcohol up to whatever this is, 7 or something, I assume. Fuck, I just guessed.
Yeah, so Spectre SR in the YouTube chat says, in their opinion, IPL of years past was taking a brewery's IPA recipe and using lager yeast. So I guess that's what you're saying, Jason. They're focusing more on the grain bill, making it more Pilsner lager like based rather than taking an ale recipe and just adding lager yeast.
Almost right? like maybe this is kind of taking hoppy Pilsner, which is kind of become its own thing, into like its own category. Rather than just saying hoppy Pilsner, they're kind of making an IPA variant of it because that'll sell better than saying it's a hoppy Pilsner,
I guess. Because the first thing that comes to mind is Cumulus Lager from the brewery, which they've been brewing for well over a decade. And they just barely released in cans like a few years ago, after Offshoot became a thing. But even that was one of my favorite IPA style beers, and that was a lager.
But if you think about, if I take my gold standard for hoppy Pilsner, Timbo, that's 5.8% alcohol by volume. This is 6.
There you go. That's a difference.
So it's I think it's probably very similar to that. Maybe I could drink it and find out.
There you go.
So it's relatively clear. It looks a lot cloudier on camera than it is in life. It's actually a little bit more clear than that Czech Pilsner was somehow.
Yeah, I was gonna say it looks pretty cloudy through your cam.
Tons of aroma. A lot of like new tropical hops on there. That smells very good. Also the head is hanging on there too. It's like very meringue.
Did you wash your glasses at Greg's house?
Exactly.
I only wash my
glassware to Greg's.
I only wash my balls at Greg's house. Thank you very much. He's got a great ball washer there.
Shiny and clean.
It's golf balls, yeah.
Yeah, this tastes really good. Again, it's very much like a hoppy Pilsner. This is very in the vein of like Timbo Pils. In a good way. I fucking love that. It's very crisp, the malt bill really gets out of the way, probably even more so than your typical like all 2-row American West Coast IPA. And it's got great hop character. It's very fruity, very tropical. I wish I could find some details on what hops are in this. It doesn't really say. It says it's a collab, but in Untapped, apparently I'm on the fucking bleeding edge here because this beer has 16 check-ins.
So, whoa, dude.
Good job. I'm getting in on the ground floor on this fucking beer, I guess.
You so fancy, Jason.
Yeah, this is super good though. Party Beer Co., who has not been on my radar whatsoever, In my opinion, if you can make a good, clean, like dry IPA, a non-hazy IPA, then you're fucking hitting on all cylinders. And this is fucking top notch. This is really good.
Yeah, if you happen to be in like semi-West LA, Culver City area, or West Adams, I guess West Adams technically accessible by Mid-City. Party Beer Co.'s a pretty rad little spot. I remember them only having a few beers actually on tap, and then they also do like 1 or 2 slushes, which was pretty cool. And I think they might have a couple of cocktails on their menu, but it's and they have like a, I think it's a food truck, but it's like a permanent food truck. Like they just it sits in their like outside area, so they
I've
serve
seen that
some,
at a few places.
they serve some food. But yeah, it was a really cool, family friendly, outside only hip spot. So
I judge any new brewery or new to me brewery by how they do hoppy beer. And like I'm completely in disagreement with the old homebrewers' wisdom of like, oh, it's an IPA, you just throw the hops in it and it covers up all the flaws. Fuck that.
No.
Most breweries suck ass at IPA. It's the
Yeah.
easiest way to tell a bad brewery is that the people who believe that make bad IPA. And
Some details on Cool as Ice. This is made with Weihenstephan yeast, and then the hops are Idaho Gem, Cashmere, and Talus. So
Idaho 7, is that the first one? Or did you say Idaho Gem? Is that
Idaho Gem.
Is that a
Gem?
hop?
I heard Idaho Jim, and I was like, do we have a new character?
Hi!
I'm here with some
He's a-
hot
he's a-
and
he's a-
potatoes.
Potato
on,
and hop farmer.
I'm coming up with it right now. Pour out a beer for Idaho Jim. Fill that beer glass up to the brim. Where did he come from? Where has he been? Pour out a beer for Idaho Jim.
Oh my God, Jason.
Oh, great. Now the song's going to be stuck in my head for a week.
Oh, man. Idaho Jim's my new fucking favorite.
I'm going to go really quick on my next beer. I mentioned this before. I got Athletic Light from Athletic Brewing. Again, this is a 25-calorie beer, less than 0.5%, and only has 5 carbohydrates. This is pretty much just barley soda. This is really good. This is definitely a summer crusher. You could drink this beer like water, and it won't even phase you. Like it's aside from maybe getting gassy because it's got, it's pretty amply carbonated. It's very prickly, very light, but it's a very well-made beer. I'm surprised. I'm very surprised with Athletic and what they're doing. Like this stuff is fantastic. So
if there's anything I've learned over the last couple of shows, it's that I need to go buy Athletic.
I mean, I kind of, I wouldn't say I poo-pooed them the last few months, but I was just kind of like, man, I don't care. I'm not going to try their stuff. But when I was, when you're not drinking beer and you want something, you're kind of forced to reshape your expectations for beer. And I have had to do that with Athletic, but only to a certain degree. Not like, well, I'm going to choke this down because I need something that tastes like beer. I'm just not going to drink beer if I have to do that, like NA beer if I have to do that. And this isn't like that. I actually come home craving their like golden ale like I did like a Swami's or something. Like I look forward to drinking it. And I think that says a lot because I know beer pretty well. I'm not to brag, but it's good, So I highly recommend this. I bought 2 6-packs, and I think on the website they want like $13 a piece, which is kind of high-ish, but in the store their beer's like $11-12 anyway, so it's not bad.
The one tricky thing with the whole NA segment is like you don't save money. It costs just as much as buying.
Well,
beer.
that being said, coming up soon, this Guinness 0% 4-pack of 15-ounce cans was $8. That's great.
Yeah, that's a deal.
$2 a can. I'm down for that. So, Tim, what are you opening?
Man, this fucking beer is. I just had more of this beer. It's really good. Like
that's awesome.
This is like a shining, surprisingly good beer. When I buy IPAs that just have cool labels, usually it doesn't turn out well for me. But this is good.
Here's a pretty cool label in my opinion for you.
Ooh, that is a cool label.
So I've given this story before, so I'll be real brief about it. Reason we like Southern Grist, we went to Nashville. They had this Hill series. It's a bunch of lactose crazy sours with a bunch of fruit, and my wife and I really liked them. End of story. So
Cool.
we ordered some because they don't distribute out here very often. And this one is the Acai Prickly Pear Hill.
Cool.
It is a sour ale brewed with lactose, acai puree, and prickly pear puree. And
Interesting.
It is super purple.
I've never actually had a prickly pear like on its own.
I've had a lot of prickly pear like cocktails, so I get the essence of it, but no, I haven't had a prickly pear on its own either.
Yeah, I mean, I've never had an elderflower, I guess, either. But
have you had an acai bowl?
Yeah.
So you know, like what acai is kind of like.
Yeah, it just tastes like berries.
Yeah.
Like it's a grape-like fruit harvested from acai palm trees, which are native to the rainforests of South America.
There's a very weird
antioxidants and fiber.
Yeah, there's a very weird health thing that feels kind of scammy with acai, but it tastes fine.
I mean, we used to get the go get acai bowls at an overpriced acai bowl place. You know, they put the strawberries and bananas and honey and granola on top, and it was bomb.
Yeah, there's one in the food hall that I go to a lot, just in a acai place.
Apparently you can get this in food form, tablet form, beverages, or jellies and ice cream. So, yeah.
It's just
I've
berries.
never had acai bowls, I gotta say. I've seen them, but I've never had an acai bowl.
Pretty sure Food Lab has a place. You should go, John. Get one acai bowl before each beer, and you won't get drunk.
Yeah, that's how it works, right?
The antioxidants fight the alcohol. And
you'll just gain a lot of weight from all those acai bowls and beers.
You get hungover and fat, but you don't get the fun of being drunk.
I don't know how much sugar is in an acai berry, but I would assume there's enough to cause you to have a sugar crash.
So this is really, I'll be brief. It's not super sour. It's just like the right amount. But I think between the sweetness of an acai and the subtle sweetness of the prickly pear, they cover it up really well. So it comes across really like a juice cocktail like more than beer like. And the lactose mixed in gives it a real nice like smooth mouthfeel. So it's definitely not one of the like tartar ones, and the flavors are pretty mellow. Prickly pear, as far as I know, is a fairly mellow flavor in general, and so yeah. Overall,
contrary to what the name implies.
Yeah, right. This is pretty. It's pretty refreshing. It's nice. It's smooth. It's like I said. It's not tart, so I'm not feeling like my jowls all getting weird. Yeah, it's pretty. I like this one.
Oh, right on.
And that was Southern Grist, right?
Yes, it is. Sorry.
It's Kiss my grist.
The acai prickly pear hill.
Before we move on to Jason's next beer, I'm going to get mine out of the way here. This is my next beer. It's from, like I said, Macular, out of Denmark nope, this one's from Belgium. So this is their Drink in the Sun. It's a wheat ale. And
yes,
like I said,
I'm curious to hear your take on it because from what I remember, that was a really good one.
I want to drink in the sun.
There's something weird on
Gonna yell at everyone
on this one. Yeah, there's something weird on the nose. I don't know if it's there intentionally or not. It says it's a wheat ale. It doesn't really say anything else about, well, it's also in a foreign language, so I don't know. But I don't, it's kind of like a stinky fruit smell. It's not bad. It's not wordy. It's just some kind of weird, funky, like fruity smell. I don't know what that is. It could be the malt selection that they're using in this. I don't know. It's just kind of funky on the nose. But as far as everything else goes, it tastes like a really good wheat ale. It doesn't have like an excessive, like sugary taste to it. Finish is fairly dry. Has a pretty nice mouthfeel. other than the smell, I think it's a pretty decent non-alcoholic beer.
Other
Yeah.
than half the experience, you're like, smells like garbage, but drink's all
Yeah,
right.
it's just something off on the nose. I mean, it's one of those things you could probably get used to it. Maybe it's like a sulfury kind of thing.
I've really fallen out of love with Macular Europe. Like San Diego still makes some cool stuff, but I feel like Europe was like neat back in the day when our options were like Rogue and shit. But like, I don't know, they never got better. They never evolved past
Macular
that.
was the brewery I thought of that, they made like the stouts that were made with like the exotic coffees and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't really buy much else from Macular, maybe a sour here and there, but that was pretty much it. But
I
yeah,
remember
definitely San Diego has definitely taken over for at least how I think of Macular.
one of the big things that I remember of Macular is they had an IPA called 1,000 IBU.
Yeah,
And it's just very time and place, right? Because like the IBU wars are dead and buried. Like
That's funny.
And it's funny because there's a lot of people who don't really pay attention to beers still talk about like, yeah, all these breweries competing to see who can have more IBUs. I'm like, nobody's done that in fucking years, my friend.
Oh yeah, that was like
yeah.
within, I think it was like,
that was like an early 2010s thing.
Yeah, I want to say like a couple years into Untapped, we worked with Magic Hat, and they had a beer that was 1,000 IBUs, and it was like, this is the highest IBU in the world.
And it was Magic Hat, and like you were listening to Arctic Monkeys. It was very 2012 or whatever.
I forgot Arctic Monkeys exist. Damn.
Yeah, I'm just trying to call bands from the early 2010s.
Thank you.
It looks like they're still brewing. They call it 1,000 IPA. I think it's the same thing, but it's brewed by DeProof.
I mean,
well, yeah, because all of Macular Europe stuff is still a contract, right? Like they were a gypsy brewer or whatever the fuck back before people stopped saying that because it's technically a slur.
I remember seeing Mickle buying a place. It looked like an a hangar, like similar to like an aircraft hangar, but I don't know, I fell off I didn't care.
Well,
so obviously that's how it looks because this one's made in Belgium. Does it say who brewed this? Macular brewed at Brigitte. Yeah.
But when's the last time you actually bought an import is a good question.
Like a crafty import? Yeah, never.
Yeah, exactly.
The good ones don't come here.
Well, but I mean, back in the day, like I feel like a lot of like the Macular Europe and things like that were like, oh my gosh, I got this cool like beer from Europe, and now it's kind of like there's so much saturation in the market in general. There's not really a point unless you're looking for something very specific.
And the thing was, those weren't like my point on Macular Europe, 10 years ago. They weren't that good in the first place. We were just starving for something new. And there weren't a lot of options on the shelf, and they were one of the ones that came out. But
for me, they got hyped too because they did a collab with Stone Brewing Company, and Stone kind of put them on the map here in California anyway. It was their let me see if this is the right one. Yeah, the beer they did with Macular, AleSmith, and Stone was a Belgian style triple ale. So I think that's where I first heard of them was through Stone.
All right,
and Dr. Bill probably.
I got another beer on deck, and this one.
Ooh, that looks cool.
It's gonna be weird. It's a cool can. It's got this like
it looks
watercolor
like
layer thing. I think like a. I was gonna say it looks like Jupiter. Actually,
yeah, that's Jupiter. Jupiter. Thanks. That's what.
I'm like maybe it looks like Saturn. Shit, I wasn't even thinking about Saturn. It really threw me for a loop. The brewery is called Foreign Objects. I literally just bought this because it made me think of the Mountain Goats song, and that song's like a bop.
What? I love a good reference to the Mountain Goats.
Do you know the song Foreign Object?
I probably do because they were like my favorite band for quite a while.
It's fairly recent. They did an album about wrestling.
Yeah,
they did a concept album about wrestling.
About the Mexican wrestler.
King.
Yep.
They had the Chava Guerrero, whatever. But Foreign Object
is there a newer one?
Chava Guerrero, the song is on that album called Beat the King.
Okay.
I think that's what it's called. But there's a song on there called Foreign Object, and it's just like, I will literally stick you in the eye with a foreign object.
Yeah.
And that's the song. And so this brewery name reminded me of that song, and that's why I bought the beer. It's called Ritual Colors. It's ale with hops, which all ales have hops. By definition, beer has hops.
Yeah.
It says DDH is our norm, drink now, and does not have a date on the can, but it smelled pretty good coming out. So, but I'm gonna read the side of the can. Thankfully, it's on Untapped, so I don't have to hold the can in front of my face. All right, I need to be in the scene. Okay. Hidden wisdom to deny the profane, induction of the colors of the art, evocation of the wisdom of forgotten self. Pry open your mind, pry the colors and the symbols of your ritual significance. The psychomentium is waiting to receive your visions. Prepare with the sweet perfumes and charms of your thought form. We will provide for you. The aromatic expression of complex berries over ripe fruit and heady earthen citrus from a combination of Mosaic and Vic Secret hops will prepare your psyche for the operation. Allow your thoughts to choose the colors and see them with illuminated intensity. Saturate and liberate and expand and generate.
Exterminate.
Exterminate.
I think, why did somebody have to write that?
That was fucking wild, dude. I feel like that is exactly like all those videos where it's like your douchey friend that likes IPA. That is what they think every like hipster IPA drinker. You know how like that's like a stereotype?
Mhm.
Like that is the label that guy has. Like that stereotype guy where it's just like, you wouldn't understand how this beer is made.
It's a little over the
That's
top, a
hella
little
funny.
That is wild. That is like, if somebody started saying some shit like that at a party, you're like, cool, I gotta go.
It reminds me of like
Don't drink the Kool-Aid.
Stone descriptions like back in the day that Greg
But
would
it's
write.
worse. It's like way more like self-indulgent. Like, oh man, that's wild. I did not know that before I bought the beer, and I started reading it. I was like, holy shit, this is wild. It looks like a typical hazy IPA. Very cloudy. Looking murkier on camera than it is in real life. A little bit of foamy head lingering on. Mosaic and Vic Secret, that's a good combo. So, and it smells really good. Just really good tropical aroma. The Mosaic's coming through pretty strong, which is good for a hazy because usually the hops kind of just blend into hoppy.
It's got a pretty decent rating on Untapped. It's got a 4.01. So we've said this before. If you're around a 4 on Untapped, it's pretty safe to say it's a decent beer.
With 10,000 ratings too. So that's it's easy to get a 4 when 100 people have reviewed your beer at a fest.
Exactly. Yeah.
Harder when you've got a wisdom of the crowd. This is pretty good actually. The hops have a bit of a bite to it at the end. It finishes with a bit of character. I was really expecting that kind of sweet, like empty, hazy kind of character, but this is a bit more in like a classical influenced hazy IPA. I think it still has that flavor. The mouthfeel of it is still very hazy IPA, but it doesn't go super sweet and actually has a pretty good hop bite. I don't know if I'm just in a good mood, but these beers are drinking really good today.
Yeah, Jason's being real generous today.
I think I just got some good beer on accident.
The high from the racetrack still lingering.
I'm just tired, man. I did 2 days in a row. It's too much. Little too much. I did Friday night and then I did Saturday all day. And then today I was out swapping my wheels back to the stock ones. And I'm like, all right, I'm fucking good. I need a day or two to rest.
Yeah, Foreign Objects, they're out of Monroe, New York. And overall, out of 58 beers and 89,000 unique check-ins, they've got a 4.02 as a brewery. So looks like they're a pretty good spot.
God damn it. Even their brewery description is the same shit. Hold on. Foreign Objects is the coalescence of a years-long ritual and evolution, philosophical self-definition, absurdist vision, and the unrelenting effort to improve our... God, I can't. That's a lot, man. It's really a lot. It's a fucking good beer, but like these labels need to tone it down.
That sounds like something that we would have read. We recently, I don't remember if I mentioned this before, but we recently went to Denver to one of the biggest reasons we went was to go to the something called Meow Wolf, the installation. Originally started in Santa Fe. They went to Las Vegas, and now they have one in Denver. And it's basically like an interactive art installation with like multiple rooms and puzzles, all based around this idea of like multiverses. And the one in Denver is about like lost memories, and the shit you're reading right now just sounds exactly like something that would have been said there.
Like, you know what? This feels like it's been written with somebody who's never had to stress about anything in their whole life. Like, I don't know. It just the way this is written just feels like I've had a very comfortable life, and I just have a lot of time to think about art.
Yeah.
But as much shit as I'm talking about their very somewhat obnoxious prose,
it's enthusiastic writing.
It's a very good beer. This is well above average for a hazy IPA. I would actually buy this again, which I wouldn't say about most hazy IPAs. So cool. Foreign objects, ritual colors, good beer, has cool watercolors on the label. It looks like a fucking planet. And don't read the text because you just heard me read it, so that already spoiled it. And it's terrible.
Shit! Is that whole thing written on the can too?
Yeah.
What is that, like size 6 font?
Yeah, that whole fucking paragraph is written on the side of the can.
When
and like 8 lines in, they're like, "Oh, it's got Vic's Secret Mosaic." I'm like, "Thank God, that's all I wanted to know."
Yeah, like when I heard you reading it, I was like, I saw you looking at a screen, so I was like, "There's no way they put that whole thing on the can." And because if I'm going to read the back of the can, like I want a brief description of what the fucking beer tastes like, not like an entire synopsis of like your upcoming sci-fi novel.
Yeah, is there a shuttlecock on the back of that thing, or is that a capsule like from a spaceship?
It's like a parachuting capsule.
Okay. It looks like a shuttlecock from badminton.
Yeah, I could see that too. That's funny.
Shuttlecock.
But then the parachute itself looks kind of like a fingerprint.
Interesting.
See, clever
art, man. They got a lot going on. These foreign objects people. There's more than meets the eye.
I'm gonna go real quick. I moved on to another one in the Hill series. Now I've got Sunrise Hill.
Okay.
This is another of their sour ales brewed with lactose, but this one has orange, pomegranate, and cherry purees.
Oh, fun. Cherry.
It comes across, and it comes across kind of this coppery, sort of reddish color.
Imagine if listening at home, imagine thinking of mixing orange, pomegranate, and cherry, where it's like kind of red but a little bit lighter, and that's kind of what it looks like.
Yeah, and you know what? When I first poured this into the glass, I took a whiff and I was like, "What?" Like it was real weird on the first sniff, but as it's kind of sat for a couple minutes while we were talking, it's really mellowed out, and you get kind of this nice. It's like the citrus from the orange and the pomegranate gives it that sort of. I don't know how to describe like a pomegranate's taste. It's not really.
Neither do I.
It's like it's not quite sweet. It's like an interesting like mix of sweet and something else. And then flavor wise, like it honestly, it reminds me a lot of like mimosa. Like it's got a real like sort of like a Sunday hipster brunch feel to it, like a bottomless mimosa sort of thing.
It's really not the same drinking mimosa with pants on. Like you have to be bottomless, right?
Is that what that means?
I'm sorry. The menu clearly says bottomless mimosas.
What do you mean you're throwing me out?
Yeah, and now I can't fucking be in here just because I followed these instructions. I thought this was America.
That's never crossed my mind before. Now it's hilarious. It's not quite as interesting as bottomless margaritas, though.
That's right. Bottomless margarita is gonna get real weird real quick.
It's gonna get crazy.
Don't lick the salt. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah. The orange and pomegranate God together on this. Do you give it a little bit of like that orange rind sort of pith bitter, like just a touch, which gives it a little more interesting character than the acai prickly pear, which was kind of sweet juice. So it has an interesting little depth to the flavor, and the sourness in this one's a little bit higher. But again, like it really does come across that way, like a kind of a flavored mimosa sort of thing. It's pretty.
I think if you look at like the food pyramid, you've gotten like 4 servings of fruit today with these beers.
This is true. I'm all set.
You're
Time
good,
for some
man.
cheeseburgers.
Basically health food. Yeah.
Well, I'm wrapping it up with my last beer. Again, this is the Guinness non-alcoholic draft beer.
It's got like a cool blue like highlight. It's like if like Guinness made an EV beer. It's like,
it reminds me of like Red Bull Zero.
I mean, it definitely stands out because Guinness, their colors are typically gold and black and white. And that blue really makes it like, oh, what is that? Because that doesn't look like Guinness. It looks like Guinness, but I've never seen like a blue thing on a Guinness can. So
isn't that the color of low carb Monster as well?
Yeah. No gold, I don't think, but yeah.
Pretty close. Actually, it's more the color of the other blue Monster, which tastes much worse than the low carb Monster.
Oh yeah.
The Monster Zero.
So I already poured this, and this just looks.
It looks like a fucking Guinness.
It looks like a proper Guinness. Like
the pouring police would not be at your house.
John's pint has like an inch of like foamy head on it. It looks like he's even got the tapered or like the curved glass. It looks like a good proper Guinness pour.
I have a Guinness glass somewhere. I bought one after I was in Ipa hanging out with our friend Eric. I think it was I went to a brewery out there for St. Patrick's Day, and we left and went to like a shithole bar down the street and just had a bunch of Guinness. And they were serving Guinness in the Guinness pint glass, which is a great glass. It's got this. It doesn't look special, but it feels good in your hand. And I cannot find it, so the closest thing I could find was my Radiant Beer Company glassware. But yeah, this beer looks fantastic.
Okay,
I'm gonna sit on this for a minute, unless you guys got any beers you want to dive into. I think Tim, you're on your last beer. Okay.
What was that?
Yeah, I've got my last beer.
Yeah, I've got one more. I just got to finish this up.
Okay, let's go to Jason then. What do you got?
All right, Boomtown. So I always think of Letterkenny when I hear about Boomtown Brewery. They're another LA brewery, I believe. Tim, you're a senior Los Angeles correspondent. This is their graffiti series, and their cans look like a Krylon can. They look fucking rad.
I saw those, and I haven't had. I was never so Boomtown was never super on my like radar. I didn't see it around that much. I know it's a pretty solid. It's been around for several years, and I saw that series, and I was like, I got to find this somewhere, and I don't think I ever ended up. But that's such a cool can.
And then, so contrary to the other one, the side of this is like cheeky and fun. And it says the more sips, less drips hazy IPA. And it says pour and enjoy for a smooth professional finish.
A smooth professional finish.
Yeah.
Nice. Like the paint. Yeah.
Instructions for preparation. Place Graffiti IPA in any chill environment. Remove loose ends. Rusty friends and go hit the showers. Dry surface of any oils, general grime, grease, or bad vibes. Mask off main areas with premium threads, making sure to rock the freshest Boomtown gear available if needed. First, apply the fragrance of your choice and grab that razor to provide a smooth surface for things to come.
This is amazing.
In some instances, a frosted glass, sold separately, will enhance the overall finish of product flavor. Repeat as desired. And then it has a warning at the bottom in red. Attention, extremely delicious if swallowed, accept no imitations. Live life by your own terms. Make your mark. Take that chance, rise above, ask them out, and get busy living. See, I like that. That's fun. That's more my speed, Boomtown.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole Krylon can label aesthetic reminds me of Monkish did a beer, or they still do, called Backpack Full of Cans.
Mm-hmm.
And the original label, I didn't know they changed it, but was that Krylon kind of looking thing with the 5 colors on it in a circle. And over some releases, it changed from that to like some artwork with a literal backpack full of spray cans to the latest one, which is a bunch of different colors with white outlines of spray cans and stuff. It's hard to describe without seeing it, but I wonder if they moved away from the Krylon thing because it was kind of like a infringement on like copyright or
They
trademark.
also, I think Monkish too just tends to
Change it up.
change their stuff up a lot, right? Like they
Yeah.
don't really stick with tried and true. They kind of were like, we already made this, we got to do it again a different way.
Yeah.
So
I could see that.
They had a whole series of those too, if you look it up, like different colored cans.
They did,
And
yeah.
for those curious, Boomtown's down near Arts District. It's just north of First Street. So like you have Angel City and Arts District in that area, and then if you go just north of that, you get over. Boomtown is in that area. And I did stop by Boomtown once. I realized I had to pick up an order. They did something during the pandemic called Stir Crazy IPA, and I was like, I had to get this just because of the cheeky like fact of art imitating life.
And so when I look for this up on Untappd, this is called Graffiti IPA 2022. It is a interior/exterior brew, which is again funny. Like they really leaned into the whole Krylon label thing. But it only has one check-in, and theirs is red. And I've seen pictures where they have these in all different colors, and I don't know if it's just different labels for the same beer or if they did like a whole different thing. And I don't know what hops are in this beer. I will say I enjoy the parody thing, but I also am like, is there like fucking mosaic in here or what?
Yeah, I'm looking at a picture on Instagram, and they have like a teal can, a purple can, a green can, and an orange topped can.
Yeah, are they just?
It looks like it's part of. They're all like it's a 4-pack, and all 4 colors are in the 4-pack. I think it is probably just to look like a a multi-pack of cans. That's it.
Just for the
Different colored
aesthetic.
cans. I think so. Yeah.
It does shout out on the side, Neff Inc. NEFF. Neff.
I would assume that's the artist. Or...
Yeah, it seems like a thing. I think it is the
Neff
artist.
Brands, Neff Headwear, Neftwear. Looks like it's some sort of a clothing line, maybe
like a lifestyle brand.
Maybe.
I don't know, man. We sound so old. There's a bunch of 25-year-olds being like, "Yeah, you guys don't fucking know what you're doing, man."
Yeah, I follow their brewer on Instagram, but I cannot remember her name. Damn it, it's bothering me now. But I have been meaning to get to Boomtown and to try their beers. I've heard mostly positive things, but here and there a couple negative things. But for the most part, it seems like they make pretty good stuff.
This is, according to Untappd, the generic non-yeared Graffiti IPA is hazy double IPA brewed with Citra Mosaic and 007 hops. Is that a fucking thing?
I'm looking that up.
Are they licensed to kill?
007 Golden Hop. Right. Yakima has a brand J007. Idaho 7 brand J007. I don't know. There's a bunch of 007s.
Do you think somebody was using voice to text and they said Idaho 7 and their phone just corrected it to 007?
I mean, that's way cooler as long as they have a golden gun.
So this is a pretty typical hazy. Again, has that Who Garden color. And this is a little bit more what I expected. There's not much bite to this beer at all. There's not really a bitter back. They list it as 18 IBU, which is like light lager level of bitterness. There is no real bitterness to this beer. It's got a good hop flavor. It's got a good aroma. But it's very much more in that traditional hazy. It's a little sweet, doesn't really have a bite. It's not crisp, it's soft. It's very soft and sweet, and which is not my favorite style of IPA, but it's a very well done IPA. It's good. But definitely my least favorite of this bunch today. Again, not a bad one. I actually had a pretty good crop today, I think, of beers. But
Yeah, sounds like it.
yeah, this one's pretty good for a hazy. It doesn't have hop burn, doesn't hit any of the like pitfalls of hazy. A little bit of that white cake batter sweetness on it, but yeah, it's good beer.
I'll wrap up with one more because actually I honestly think this might be a dupe from something previously. So I apologize, John, because I don't keep really good track of what I do on the show. But there's a brewery out of Wilmington, which, if anybody doesn't know, that's where the Untapped home offices were. And when I was there, we would go there because it was literally right around the corner, called New Anthem. And they made some really solid freaking like hazy IPAs. Like everything that they had was really good. I had
label
no
looks
complaints.
cool. It's like it's hard
It's
to
like
describe.
the silhouette of a dude standing on a road with like buildings on either side, kind of like just staring down this desolate, dark, bluish, black, ruined city.
It looks like the cover of like a video game.
Yeah, or maybe a comic or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is Clapback. It's a Citra double IPA. Lots of Citra, and more Citra. Untapped says it's a Citra triple dry hopped. The can doesn't say anything about how many dry hops, but it is exactly the same color that Jason had described. You would expect. It's got that sort of yellowy orange. Can't see through it.
Appearance is Who Garden.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like the most classic that you could use to describe this. The aroma comes across as like candy, though. Like it's super candy.
Wow, this has a 4.25 on Untapped. So,
And actually, either candy or, as you guys would say, cake batter. Like it's got that sort of sweet, cakey. Like it just kind of smells like I'm going to eat some dessert.
You almost get a hint of like vanilla, I think, with the cake batter thing too. It's like a sweet candy, just not quite vanilla, but kind of like white cake batter, where it's, whatever white cake batter smells like. I think vanilla comes to mind with that, for the most part, for me anyway. So,
yeah, and it drinks smooth, very minimal on the bitterness. It's very hop sweet. Overall, it's hop schmear, even though it is Citra, like it's all Citra, but I guess I just haven't had enough Citra to really pick it out. It just tastes pretty sweet overall.
It's like it. Honestly, I wouldn't put it past most hazies. The process obscures hops so much where literally they're like, yeah, it's all Citra. And you're like, I've had 100 beers that are all Citra. I could pull it out. Like if you give me a zombie dust, I'm like, yep, that's all Citra.
Yeah.
But with a hazy IPA, it's like, yeah, it just tastes kind of like hops.
It smells like a sweet kid's cereal. Like it kind of like if I stuck my nose in a box of Fruity Pebbles. Like that's kind of what I get.
Yeah, I think that's common to
or
a lot of hazy IPAs. Yeah,
maybe Fruit Loops.
Not quite as firm as a Fruity Pebble.
It's a little loopy.
A little bit less body.
I'm gonna wrap up with my beer, my Guinness NA, which I'm almost done with. This is super easy to drink. I don't drink Guinness a lot, but this strikes me as being a little more bitter than I'm used to with Guinness. Guinness for me is usually, from what I remember, a somewhat neutral beer. Even though it's a dark beer, you don't really get a whole lot of roast on it. And I don't get a whole lot of roast, but you also don't get a whole lot of bitterness either. It seems like it's usually pretty balanced between
it's been a minute
bitter and sweetness.
It's been a minute since I had a Guinness, and maybe I'll have one fucking in 4 days because it's almost St. Patrick's Day, and I got to be cliche. But
oh, that's right, yeah.
Guinness to me always has a little bit of bitter, not from hops, but from that like dark malt, that like roasty black patent malt kind of thing coming.
That's
through.
what it has, yeah. And I think it's just me coming off of these lighter beers, and man, I haven't had a dark beer. I think the last darker beer I've had that's bitter is like Stone. They re-released Sublimely Self-Righteous, which is bitter because it's also very, very hop forward. But that's the last like dark beer I've had since I stopped drinking at the end of February. So this is just hitting a little different just because I haven't had it in a while. So excellent beer though. I don't miss the alcohol at all. I can't even tell it's a different beer for the most part. It's a little on the warmer side, which is fine with darker beer, but I like Guinness to be cold. Because there's, I don't know, it's such I think it's a delicate beer, especially since it's only 4% usually, and it's not, as far as I can tell, a very complex beer to make. But it could be a little colder. It still has the widget in the can.
Oh yeah, that thingy.
You don't have to hard pour or anything like that. You could if you want, but you don't have to. That's what the widget's there for. Because usually when you hard pour, it's because the nitrogen and CO2 are in the liquid, and so to get it like out of solution, that's why you have to pour hard. Where when it's in a widget, once you crack the can open, the pressure inside the can opens the widget, the nitrogen is released into the liquid, and you don't have to hard pour because the widget did it for you. So,
bada bing, bada boom.
Overall, it's a great beer. Like I said, I think we're living in great times when it comes to non-alcoholic beers because there's just so much to choose from, and it's actually good stuff.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with the stuff that you've been bringing, and definitely going to keep some eyes out for a few of these.
By the way, I did get a multi-pack of hop tea from Hoplark. I got the Citra. They have a black tea made with I want to say it's Simcoe, which is probably their IPA version of tea, because the black tea is a little more bitter. The hops are a little more aggressive, and it's really good. And I think that has the most caffeine too. That has 80 milligrams of caffeine. And then I also
the black tea is crazy with caffeine. The green tea is only like 30,
and then the Mosaic one is 60, I believe. The green tea with Mosaic is 60 milligrams. And then I got the chamomile flower tea. I don't know if you can call it a tea, but it's
the calm one.
Well, I didn't know chamomile made you sleepy. And Greg said he got a keg of it, and I thought it was tea, but made with chamomile. I didn't know what chamomile was until I got that tea. Really good. Yeah, Jason's got one.
I got a gang of them right now.
Super low bitterness. Even like, because you do get a natural bitterness from tea. It doesn't have any of that because it's not tea technically. It's chamomile flowers. And the hops that are paired with it it's just a perfect combo. And on Friday night, I had a can and we were watching TV, and I was like, man, that's good. I'm going to have another one. And so I had two, and I was out by like before 8:00. Like I just felt, I haven't fallen asleep on the couch in a while. And
did you get the compact from them?
No, this was just their mix of their core 4.
Gotcha. They have a compact right now, which is 4 different hop teas that don't have caffeine, but there's a spruce one in there that's fucking good. Oh man, it's very like old school piney.
Yeah, you remember
hoppy IPA.
Saying something. Yeah, the compact is oh god, now they're just showing me the one beer. Let's see.
My hair's getting too long. This fucking problem.
Well, I'm not going to look it up now. I will definitely look into it because I think the chamomile so far is my favorite. Aside from it making me sleepy, it's made with chamomile and citra hops. Maybe I was just tired too because of my whole eye situation because I'm straining more to see things. But I felt like it hit me like a wall. Like, because at 7:45, I remember I passed out and I woke up like 15 minutes later. I'm like, did I just fall asleep? Like, that hasn't happened in a while. So good stuff. I recommend Hoplark.
I think, and so what we've learned today is that we're truly in a great era for NA beer and things that are for beer enthusiasts that are non-alcoholic. And if other cold IPAs are as good as this one, I hope it sticks around because it's dope. The article I was reading referred to it as a West Coasty or West Coast IPA, and I'm like, fuck yes, more of this, less of everything else.
Yeah,
all right, Jason's found his new jam.
Right?
Because I will get back into homebrewing. Maybe I'll dabble with that because I really want to learn the distinctions between cold IPA IPL and see if I can make something good. Because
I-
if it's a hoppier version of like a West Coast, then yes, I am down for that. Like an elevated version, I guess.
I'm
Well,
here
like
for you making more homebrew. I don't care what it is.
Yeah, exactly. I've brewed once in 2 years, so
Brew it up.
okay. I think we're good there.
All right. John, I've been watching this new YouTube channel and I think you should check it out because I think you might enjoy it. It's like Pat Finnerty or something, but he has this series called What Makes This Song Stink.
You brought that up last week, I think. Yeah.
Did I?
Yeah.
It's like a really funny mix of like kind of guitar nerd shit and then also just like music stuff, and like the guy's funny too. So
Well, since this is your second time recommending it, I'm gonna have to watch it. Yeah, they have because we remember we started talking about Chili Peppers because
yeah.
on
We did that
Danny,
last time.
California.
yeah. The Weezer one's really good. If you want an entry, maybe try the Weezer one.
That song though, Beverly, that's a shitty song. And I understand
Oh,
why
yeah,
it's
But that's where I
catchy.
want to be, guys.
He takes Beverly Hills and he's like, let's see why this is bad. And he like puts the lyrics of Beverly Hills over El Scorcho and then takes like El Scorcho's lyrics over the Beverly Hills song. And like, it's really funny.
Huh.
John, did I show
Yeah.
you my new guitar?
No.
Oh,
What'd you
Do you
get?
Do you want to see it?
Yeah.
I got to get it out of the case. 1 sec.
Okay.
And Beverly Hills is like one of the worst songs I've ever heard in my life.
It really is a junk song.
I remember hearing that on the radio in the car and be like, what kind of piece of shit song is this? Who played this garbage? And then it was like new song from Weezer, and it like broke my heart. I was like, one of my favorite bands made one of the worst songs I've ever heard in my life.
What's Tim doing?
Get my headphones back.
Doing gymnastics over there. Okay, is that a hollow body? Yes. It looks like a Gretsch.
Ooh,
It's a hollow body Gretsch.
Oh, nice. Cool.
fucking Brian Setzer over here. That is badass. Gold hardware and everything. That is bomb.
Is that like pine green?
Yeah, it's kind of. I like to describe it as like
Bluish?
Like a Jaguar green, if you know. Kind of like if you've seen the green that Jaguar, like a Jaguar. Car?
I haven't, but I will look it up now.
That's kind of the closest I can think to describe it. I always wanted a hollow body, and I finally was like, I'm going to get one.
Nice.
Dude, I
Jaguar
still have my
green.
dad's my dad had, it was like
Okay.
something he held on to from when he was a musician, a hollow body Gibson bass. It's an EB2, which is basically, you know, an ES335.
I do not.
The ES335 is like BB King, like blues guitar.
Oh, okay, yeah, I see.
It's a double cutaway hollow body Gibson guitar, and the EB2 is that, but a bass.
I see it. Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. My dad's EB2 is from like 65 or something like that, so I still have it hanging around. It's kind of a family heirloom.
I saw the Fender has a new electric like acoustic that, without getting into detail, it's like the thickness of a Strat, maybe a little thicker, but it's hollow and it's got a hole, you know, because it's technically acoustic, but it uses electric guitar strings. But the secret to it is they have emulations built into the guitar.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, you can switch between, like, you can do just straight up electric acoustic, or you can do like a simulated acoustic that doesn't sound like you're plugged into a jack. You can do like all these different things and go straight up electric guitar with it, so it sounds like just a Fender Strat or a Tele, because I think they make a Strat version and a Tele version, and I think it's like $1,200, which is pretty reasonable. Which John 25 years ago would have been like, I'll never afford that, but now I'm like, oh,
Yeah, the curse of being middle-aged is you're like, well, I can afford all that cool shit I want in my 20s, but I don't have 8 hours a day to
Exactly.
fucking noodle around on a guitar.
Yeah, amen.
How much was that Gretsch?
I don't. It was on sale, actually. Like contrary to what I thought, I want to say like somewhere around like 600 maybe.
Oh, that's not
cheaper
bad.
than I
That looks like
thought.
a very expensive guitar.
I don't know. I
Um,
have to go back and look.
I would have guessed that was like an $1,800 guitar.
I think the retail at Guitar Center was like somewhere around 1,000, and it rang up on sale for contrary to what I thought.
That's how Guitar Center do, though. They're like, MSRP of this bad boy is $2,900, but I'll give it to you for $8. And it's like,
It was. I mean, it was in the
never
like.
sold it above $9.
It was in the like. They have that room that's got like the rare stuff in it, and behind
Ah.
the counter there was like some beat up piece of shit looking thing that was like $12,000. I'm like, so obviously somebody. It was like a super vintage. Somebody famous played it sort of guitar. I'm like,
Yeah,
Jesus, who really buys that shit?
I remember when I was a teenager and I was really hardcore nerdy into guitar and dumb shit. I got my dad to take me to the Guitar Center in Hollywood, which
That's
has
where I got it.
tons of that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, like tons of, it's a fucking guy from Cheap Tricks guitars up here. It's 14 grand. It's like,
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
which is weird because like you were like, well, it's got to be more modern stuff now, except for is it, or is it just still like the same fucking old
I think it's
70s and 80s legacy acts?
I think it's still that from what I remember.
Because there's a whole category of like gent kind of shit, right? Where like, oh, this is the fucking Periphery guys equipment, but they're like eight string guitars. Like it's a whole different genre of guitar when you get into like the modern guitar nerd shit.
Yeah,
It's a whole different vibe.
Yeah, modern not I guess metal, like you said, gent. That's definitely like it's a computer geek's guitar setup. Like it's like
I've
when
seen
people
some of
wanted
those
to
bands,
be like Dimebag Darrell and have his like really like processed sound. It's like that to like times 10. It's just super processed. It sounds cool to me, but it also sounds generic at the same time because there's no, it's all the same sound.
It's pretty wild. Like I've seen some of the bands that are in that modern kind of like genty tech metal-y sort of thing, and they legit have a laptop on stage with them. Like they're doing like sequencer shit and all this weird shit for the effects.
Oh yeah, well, like I said before, when I was, when I was in high school, I bought a crate half cab off this dude in Chino, and he had a rack like I built for us over here, but it was just full of different. The bays were all full of different things to make his guitar sound like Dimebag, and now you literally just need a computer, and your guitar will, or just get like a nice modern, amp that does emulation. You can get that built in. Like it's just like everything else. The technology has shrunk to the point where you don't need all that crap.
There's not much attention paid to. Or Tim, are you trying to go?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't want to cut you up, but I got to peace out.
Okay,
Tim,
well, nice
you
to
should
meet you.
also
guys.
check out that What Made This Song Stink about Weezer.
I'll check that out.
Do it.
All right, dude.
Cool.
Have a good
Thanks,
one.
guys. See ya.
Bye.
I feel like outside of like guitar nerd circles, the intersection of music and tech is rarely discussed. But like I was talking about a few months ago, how I realized like when I've seen like DJs and stuff, like the amount of tech that goes into a DJ setup is fucking insane. Like the way like these DJs that do streaming or like even just what they play with, like they've got crazy amounts of gear. And I followed like Darude Sandstorm guy, right? And he's making tweets that are like bitching at the maker of this one app because they changed this and it fucked up his whole workflow. And it's like, oh yeah, like these guys are working in tech all fucking day. Like all they do is move shit around in computer programs, and it's a weird segment of tech that doesn't get covered as tech very much, I don't think.
Yeah.
But maybe also when you're a musician, you just kind of want to feel like a rock star and you don't want to talk about like how the sausage is made, where you're like, here's how I program all these loops.
I mean, even going into, there's been recent backstage stuff for Metallica, like when they do their stadium tours and all the tech that goes behind their guitars. And, there's dudes back there. Obviously they don't have pedals on stage except for Kurt and his wah pedal, but, all of that stuff, like they have sounds for different songs it's all emulation now. And I think they still incorporate some analog stuff in there. But when you're touring, you want to minimize that stuff. If it can physically break, you don't want to carry it around. And
Yeah.
I mean, you can really hear how Metallica's. I just bring them
Although,
up because I watch them all the time.
I
Their
feel like
sound has
Metallica's got
changed.
they've got like a big rig trailer full of fucking
Oh, they're a
guitar
circus.
decks.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I mean, and they record everything in high def, and like they're a whole operation, obviously, because they're just
Well,
gajillionaires.
I remember like a few years back, like Metallica's touring operation brings in something like $100 million a year.
I wouldn't be surprised. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's pretty wild.
they cart around their own stage, like when they did the first part of their well, God, what's their last album called? Not Death Magnetic, but
I was like, they've had albums since Death Magnetic, right?
the last one that came out. It's for some reason I'm drawing a blank. The one with Moth into Flame and all that in it. Oh God, what's the name of the first song on the album? We're so fucked. Blah, blah, blah. I can't remember the name of the song. Fuck. Anyway, they had like this huge LCD like back thing that was just ginormous. Like I want to say it was like 3 stories tall. And they were showing all kinds of graphics and stuff. That they take all that stuff, set it up. It's all their equipment. Maybe they're renting a portion of it, but even like their wireless system is this top of the line sophisticated weirdness that they have
Hardwired to self-destruct.
There you go, Hardwired. Yeah.
That's a terrible album name, by the way. Hardwired to self-destruct. That's terrible.
I like the album though. It's a good album. If you like Metallica.
Listen, there's different schools of Metallica, but I don't really like modern Metallica like most people.
I like all Metallica. I mean, I'm
pretty
a Metallica
good.
fan.
But like it's like every band, right? Like they have their era where they have like fucking shit that is just like literal genre defining all-time classics, and then like, yeah, it's a competent song. Like like the newer stuff's like, yeah, these are competent rock songs. They're good. Like they're fucking nothing wrong with them. They don't piss you off, but
they found a formula, and like they, load and reload, especially Saint Anger. That's where they really went off the deep end. But I don't know. I don't hold that against them because they were going through some weird stuff, and that album was weird. And Jason quit, and also the producer was playing bass on. It's just weird. So whatever, that's its own thing. But
weird thing to think with Metallica. I pulled up their discography to find that album name. They've released 3 albums in this millennium.
They take their time.
Yeah, like, well, the thing is, nobody wants to hear new Metallica. They just want to hear old Metallica played.
I disagree, because they have full shows. They upload like full shows to YouTube, and they have a healthy mix of new stuff and old stuff. And the old stuff, I think, is slowly being replaced by new stuff.
That reminds me of like, I went to a Dashboard Confessional show like 10 years ago, and there was all these people that were into like the newer albums where you got like all like Jesus-y and stuff. And I was like, who are these fucking people?
That's not
weird.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to hear new Dashboard. Like,
new. Hear the new album, actually. Like I think he realizes like what got him there, and they're going back to that.
I downloaded it, but I have not heard it. Yeah.
All the Truth That I Can Tell, really good album, actually.
Okay.
I watched the last 2 live streams. He brought in a woman to do backing vocals, and she does like a lot of harmonies and stuff. And in the live shows, she's doing a lot of harmonies in the older songs where they're like doing cool new arrangements with them and stuff. It's really cool.
That's cool. I was going to bring up too, this is complete fork in the road. I am so far behind on episodes being released that I really think I'm going to pay someone to edit, because now it's to the point where I have like anxiety. I want to say I'm like 5 episodes behind, and I think I'm just going to pay someone, like go on Fiverr and say, find someone that's competent at doing it or something.
You could always just put them out uncut, man. It's not like it fucking. We got 7 people on here who want the raw 4B.
I don't know.
Try one and see if anyone complains.
I will not like it, because there's definitely. I mean, I don't know. It'd be one thing if I took notes throughout the show to say, okay, I can cut this, but I don't know. I'm gonna try it because I need to
It's all gold, John.
just get
You
caught
don't need to cut any of it. What you're doing is you're taking gold and throwing it in the trash.
up. Well,
You know what you can't cut? You can't cut that fucking Idaho Jim stuff I did earlier. That was gold.
anyway,
Can't cut Idaho Jim. Idaho Jim's a fucking classic.
and get that earworm stuck in everyone's head.
That's right.
So, all right. Like Jason said, he's going to be in San Diego next week. If you're going to be in San Diego, hit him up. Like,
Yeah,
have some
fucking
beers.
DM me, bro. I'd love
And-
to see real people. I haven't seen a human in fucking 10 years. So I don't fucking know. My life's fall apart.
So yeah, we won't be recording next week, but I think the following weekend, if we record on Sunday, technically Sunday is my last day. The 25th? Is it the 25th? The 27th. So maybe I'll have some real beer on that Sunday show. We'll see.
We'll be back at it again. I'll bring some San Diego fucking whales.
That sounds good.
Or just
maybe
pizza
I can
port.
maybe I can give you some money and you can buy some for me too, and then I'll come pick them up from you or something.
If I see anything dope, I'll let you know and we'll figure it out. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Thank you to everyone who hung out, and we will see you probably on the 27th, unless something comes up. So
Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for breaking my cow lamp.
peace out.